Yo, Joburg members of the Berg Force, Joburgians, and Joe fans out there in the world. I hope you're staying warm if you want to be warm. I hope you're staying cool if you want to be cool. My name is Steve. I lead this merry band of South African boys in our quest to talk about the ultimate toy line. Hello, gentlemen. Sound off. What are your names? We've got a barbershop quartet, except we minus a person.
I'll be Paul on
He'll
this
be
episode
Paul.
of GI Joburg.
Mm.
And you're joined by Robert
Ooh.
in Cape Town
Ooh.
on drums.
I'd say we're in rare form tonight, but the truth is, you guys are always a little bit musical, huh? Anyone who's listened to the end of a podcast, they've probably caught our terribly off sync, I don't know, music outros. Would you call them that?
Extraludes.
Outludes.
I think you boys attempted the Rocky theme last week.
Oh yeah.
It was atrocious. Atrocious.
Absolutely
Well, we
horrendous.
aim to displease.
It was a lot of fun to do.
Mission accomplished. Oh, jeez. Well, hello everyone. Another week has passed, as you all know. It goes without saying. Last week we climbed into a topic about toys that aged too early.
Yes.
Toys that aged very well. Anything that entered our collection we were lukewarm about, and then all of a sudden a light shone on it and it was suddenly top of the pops. Well, this week is a topic that I absolutely hate, but we had to do it. It's the opposite, the inverse, the contradictory position to last week's episode. We're talking about toys that aged poorly, toys that we had a high regard for, and then got them, and then we were like, I don't know so much. And over time, that position has probably actually worsened. I don't know if we can actually say that we hate these toys. I certainly don't hate any of the toys that I'm going to be talking about on this episode, but I definitely don't pick them off the shelf anymore. Like, they've lost their luster. There are other these are just space fillers, or even worse, they just occupy the bottom of the drawer at this stage.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys, what your process was, but that's kind of my criteria. How about you, Rob?
I definitely hate these toys.
Okay. Get excited, ladies and gents. We are going to throw some shade.
Woo! I hope none of these are anyone's favorites. But disclaimer, it's my opinion, and that that's all that matters. So.
Well, the wild and wonderful thing about GI Joe and its fandom is you'll find a fan of just about everything. I was thinking about this last week, and I want to ask for ourselves and the Berg Force in attendance, and anyone listening to this in the future who want to drop down in the comment section and let me know, is anyone a super fan of, say, Spearhead? Spearhead is the most beige, like, pun intended, character I could think of. Who does he top anyone's favorite list? Or is he on anyone's favorite list? He's such a just a space filler, really, kind of figure. I don't know. Like,
Just
I've
gotta
always
have
looked
him.
at Spearhead as the most unremarkable figure of all, which is weird because he comes with an animal companion. He comes with a fucking gladius sword, this weird Roman like thing. So he's got all these strange. He's got a strange gun too, but it's fucking mongrel. It will take your head off. It's got 2 magazines, bizarre, and this brutal bayonet. But my point is, even so, that guy's he's kind of nowhere. Is anyone out there supremely excited and like enjoy the character or figure of Spearhead? Yeah, that is my question for episode 247.
Yeah, let us know. Is he the top of the pops for you? Is he bottom of the barrel?
That
Stale
said,
bread.
this topic is not about mediocre figures or toys. This topic is about toys that they've gone all the way south. Our opinion has soured on them to the point where we don't like them so much. I've only got 3, so I'm not going to elect myself to go first.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. My list is actually also shorter than 5. Like there are very few figures that I don't like in my collection because I bought them, or I got them because they were really cool, and I appreciate having received them. So yeah, mine's actually also shorter, but I think Paul is probably the one with the most hate, so he should probably go first.
Actually,
Well,
like jokes aside, mine's also a pretty scant
Is
list
it
as
lean?
well, this is
It
going to be a
is
short
pretty
episode
lean.
then.
Whoa,
Hey,
okay.
hope no
No,
one's
no,
Just
but
20
buckled
minutes.
down
you
to a
have-
long transit and they've like, those GI Joburg guys, they always run over
finally.
2 hours. Perfect. No. Sorry, guys. We'll be
No,
done
we're
in
not even
45
going to make
minutes.
it to the first pit stop.
No, but
Okay.
like in fairness though, I have got a lot to say about my picks because
Whoa.
Oh, always.
yeah,
Fair
yeah,
enough.
I mean,
Okay, well, I'll open my account with, something that should be on everyone's mediocre list. The Tomahawk helicopter.
Well, I mean, obviously, it goes
Only
without saying.
joking. No, that's also another poor joke. Guys, this vehicle was kind of tied with the Razorback as something that I wanted to task my parents with getting. This was on a Christmas list. I even have the note saved in a photo album where I asked my father, can I get the G.I. Joe Raider or the Cobra Razorback? Spelled with 2 Z's. I'm not talking about the Razorback. I am talking about the G.I. Joe Raider. For the simple reason that this thing looks incredible. It sold itself well to me, even though the unfortunate picture in the European catalog had it broken down into its component parts, so I never saw it as a single unit. It's a far more attractive toy joined together than it is with the breakaway weird front track mini tank and the rest of it left on stands with its missile box extended. So it was marketed in a strange way, but it had so many guns and a wonderful canopy. So it still was top of the pops. I then saw it in comic book issues, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Ultimately, I saw it for the first time in the flesh on our trip to the States at the wonderful Greg Crocart's house, and
oh yeah,
it was a toy that he insisted I not leave without him placing it in my possession and sending it on its way. So massive shout outs to Greg. He's an enormously generous member of the community. Anyone who knows his name knows this to be the case. And he's been a great fan of GI Joburg since the early days. And what a wonder to actually have met him in the flesh. And
And
to add
play with-
the cherry on the top, he was extremely generous with his wares. He was like, how much space do you have in that rent-a-car? Let me fill it. I'm like, dude, you realize we're going to a GI Joe convention? All right, I will have completed my entire hit list with you before we set foot on the bloody convention floor. Anyways, getting past all that delightful generosity, the Raider was that toy that is just beautiful to look at, lovely to hold, but if you break it, consider it sold. It's that tempting, fragile, just the engineering of it is too ambitious for its own good. The truth is, most of them look like the picture that I'm flashing now on the YouTube version, which is canopy gone, one or both of the side cannons gone, the front gun gone, one of the or both of the flashlights cracked off and destroyed, and most likely, like the little retainer nubs for the missile box, stressed or snapped off completely. It's just an engineering nightmare.
it's just a dur.
Yeah. Very ambitious, but just too frail for its own good. I mean, I bring special attention to the clips for the canopy. They're very thin. They're made of that translucent plastic, and their own friction with the mounts that they snap into will twist them off ultimately. And how much fun can a vehicle with a lovely cockpit and clear canopy be if you are terrified of putting figures into it? Like, I opened mine just a just a fraction, so I could slide the guy up into it. And I don't even bother with the seatbelts because you need to open it even further to get at them. It's terrifying. So it has become a frustration, unfortunately, and one that I can no longer put my hands on. As I say, beautiful vehicle to behold, but an absolute nightmare in terms of its fragility. It's just those few points, but they are key points. And if you snap the guns on a otherwise unbroken raider, you will hate yourself, as I do to this day. I tried to make a minor fix because one of the side guns had a missing pipe, which is a separate piece. So I sourced a pipe off another gun, and as I was trying to clip it into place on the cannon that was already on the side mount, of course the little mushroom clip stressed and loosened and probably broke inside there. It's probably rattling.
Oh gosh, it's such a gorgeous vehicle. Like it's a fantastically cool looking vehicle.
And that's how we should remember her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that they obviously I don't know what they did with this thing. It sounds like it's the most frailest one toy that they've ever produced. It was a huge mistake on their part, but it's so gorgeous.
And definitely fits the bill of a toy that aged poorly. Because I level no hate at this toy, but it has not aged well, sadly. Paul?
Yeah, I got it. I often see these like for sale and on offer on the local GI Joe groups. There's like 3 of them sort of in circulation that guys are trying to sell, and they're all sort of broken, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, you can get parts," and I'm like, "No, it's fragile.
No, you
It's
can't.
a project." Yeah, it's a cool looking toy. I also remember poring over the catalogs when I was younger as well, and going, "Oh, that just looks like such a fun thing because it can split into 3 things." But yeah. And Steve, you had so much fun with it in that parking lot of that petrol station on the way back from
I did.
Greg's place.
Eagle Eye Berg Force member Hans Chow notes that the one pictured, the sort of broken one, is back to front. And yes, you're absolutely right. It is. What a dumbass this seller was.
Rob?
No, but I mean, it's that kind of weird vehicle that has so much functionality, almost too much. Like it spins 360 on its tracks, like the actual body, the chassis of the vehicle. So much like a main battle tank will have its turret that spins 360, this thing, you make your operators face the direction they want to shoot, which is so fun and so toyetic. It is 1990s answer to the Havoc, basically. I think we spoke about that, Paul. But while the Havoc has points that should be fragile but aren't, the Raider just absolutely, regular day-to-day use of the Raider will break it. Anyways, that's my first unfortunate, depressing entry into this hall of shame.
I am dying to hear what Rob's first pick is.
Well, I think the first one is one that a lot of people probably were quite disappointed with once they got it, or once they had it for a while. I thought it was a really cool looking version of the character, and I wish he was better than what he is. It is Ninja Force Snake Eyes. Is that him? Is this him? I think it's him.
Shadow Ninjas.
Shadow Ninjas.
Yeah.
When they all had the cool like color changing things. I think we bought like 2 or 3 of these guys. Or from the set.
We bought all of them, Rob.
Bushido. Oh, we did actually.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't get Nunchuck because we already had Nunchuck.
We didn't need another one, but we got all the characters we didn't have, or the ones that look cool, and he looks cool. I think this is a very cool looking version of Snake Eyes. But unfortunately, because of the way that they made these toys with these plastic, they died very quickly, and because of they can't just change color; they have to have a special feature, So you squeeze his legs together, and his arms like flail around like he's, I don't know, he's running away really fast. And I think very very quickly he lost both his thumbs. He has no thumbs. He can't hold that sword. He can kind of like hug it to his chest. But otherwise, it really just it doesn't work out. And
to anyone listening to this, cool. You're not getting the benefit of Rob's delightful pictures. Oh, I love them so. Because yeah, indeed, Shadow Ninja's Snake Eyes is hugging that giant. What you call that
It's
sword?
the only way you
It's a
can
Dao.
use it.
It's called a
You know,
Dao.
a
Yeah.
Dao.
DAO.
Um,
DAO. Dao.
DAO. And the thing is, like, it's such a cool looking version of Snake Eyes. Like, I really like that helmet that he has on, that kind of like mask faceplate in the eyes. And the figure itself is just so nicely constructed. At least if they could just make him into a normal toy, he would be absolutely amazing. And I think initially we were just like blinded by they change color like Zartan did.
Yeah, it
And
goes
just
white.
having ninjas,
And
it's
it's
Our
just
buddy
miserable.
MCDJ
fun thing.
ACDC missed the sales pitch of them changing color. He said he bought 2 of the ninjas. No clue that they changed color. All this time, just thought they were a different shade.
No ways. Just pop them in the
Wow.
freezer. It's fantastic. You leave them in there for a week and then he'll come out nice and fragile at the other end. It's fantastic. It's really
It's
great.
delightful that this toy line still has some secrets. Just the other day, our buddy Mark texted me to say that he had no idea that the Havoc had a removable engine cover. Hey,
Hey,
good times.
that's cool. We're all learning. We're learning
Hmm.
things. Yeah, so this is my first entry. I really thought he was really cool when we first got him. But over time, like just the play feature and the fragileness of the figure himself just makes him a loser, unfortunately.
So cool. This will sort of hark back to the previous episode. I've come to like that Snake Eyes, but not the color changing one. The color changing one actually completely destroyed that toy in my mind. In fact, I actually think that Snake Eyes is quite responsible for damaging Ninja Force in my sort of consciousness for a very long time. And when I finally got that little Ninja Force set at JoeCon, and I had that Snake Eyes, I had quite a bit of fun with his feature because yes, it is stupid actually, but if you have got him on your desk and you like have like another little character like a viper or something, and you've got a cool sword in his hand, like the one that you've pictured, and you're squeezing those little legs and that little sword's going around, you get like a fun little video game kind of action to it, like a kind of chopping motion.
Yeah,
and that's quite
it'll
a lot of
definitely
fun.
keep you occupied
Yeah.
for a couple of seconds.
Yeah,
Put
no,
Ninja
I-
Gaiden soundtrack in your headphones and
Hey.
do kind of wall runs.
Exactly. And also a small bonus to that is like that sword that he uses, the Dao. That's actually something that I train with as well. So like
No
that's
ways.
cool. I
Yeah,
think
but was
the
yours
actual-
translucent, Paul?
Yeah.
No,
smoky grey
I haven't
translucent?
I haven't reached that level yet, but I have got one of those at home still. The smoky grey translucent, the Dao from Snake Eyes, from that Snake Eyes. Anyway, that's a fun pick, Rob. I'm
Are their
actually also
weapons
super curious.
endued by inviso power, or are they made of ice, or are they made of glass? What's the deal with translucent weapons? Are they energy
Oh,
weapons? Well, how did you guys play them?
I was just they look cool. I think I just accepted it as a normal weapon. I don't think there was any
No, we
magic
played
to
them
it.
as energy weapons.
Oh, really?
No, we
Sweet.
Yeah, we went full ninjistics, ninja jammer whammer on that. Yeah.
I just painted over all of mine.
That's true.
Silver paint, black paint, and brown paint, and went to
Whoa.
town. Yeah.
I know that David like cracked open one of those Snake Eyes. He bought a second one and cracked it open for the head to put that head on a different body to make a custom version of that character for himself.
Did it work? Because there's a definite knack to getting Ninja Force heads out for the first place, but also to get them to fit into O-ring bodies. They're not the same engineering as the regular O-ring head.
I think David like sort of cut a lot of pieces off and glued it in, if memory serves.
Hmm.
Yeah, because that's kind of what. Yeah, because they do have like a I think a square at the bottom. or
Yeah, it's
something.
like a little square thing, or it's like a little like T.
Oh,
shape.
they
Yeah.
wildly vary depending on the head, because it all had to do
Oh,
with
yeah,
like
and-
whatever gimmickry you had inside the body of the Ninja Force figure. Like the head
Oh,
would
to make space.
perfectly match. Yeah, man.
My
I cracked
goodness.
open a Chun-Li that was sent to me by Paul.
Wow.
Thank you, Paulie.
Just
And-
smashed
Pleasure,
it.
dude.
Thanks, Paul.
And she finally had her ultimate fate of becoming one with Jink's body. But it's a bit of a
Yay.
floppy fit. I'm not gonna lie. It's going to need
But you
some
can get-
additional material
Oh.
inside.
Well, what you can do is you can get yourself some green stuff, which you should be able to find all over Australia's, or at least in the hobby stores in Australia, because that's a common product used by the Warhammer or by the wargaming guys. It's called green stuff. It's a 2-part epoxy putty. Otherwise, you can just get the Tamiya epoxy putty, and I'm sure you can wrangle up a nice little fix there. It's actually a very easy product to use, very easy to shape. Yeah. So maybe
Or I
that'll
could
help
just
you.
use broken O-ring offcuts and stuff that into the body cavity to create a bit of friction. It winds
No,
up
I
feeling
suppose you could
very
do that too.
organic.
Whatever works.
Hey, whatever
I
works.
mean, let's face it, guys. If you haven't been throwing away your O-ring offcuts, they are the perfect stuffing for a case like that. Anyways, Paul, I think you owe me a toy that aged poorly. Or is it me again?
I do.
Sorry, guys.
No,
I'm still a
I
little
do,
bit
I
drunk.
do.
He's still
So,
waiting.
ladies and gentlemen,
I don't know his coffee yet.
listening to this, Lady J, modern era Lady J. So she has had some fantastic iterations to her character. We've had the great one from the 5-pack. We've had another one that was single carded with a hat. We had another one which was from another, I think, from a 7-pack, and they were fantastic. My favorite one, or the one that I own at least, is on this image is the second one from the right, with sort of a slightly more reddish tinge to her hair, and she's an amazing modern era figure. But she does come with she does have a few shortcomings in the sense that she's one of the earlier released 25th anniversary Joes, so she does have like weirdness with the arms, and there's just like there's some things that are just not 100% there. So when they announced 50th anniversary Lady J, well, I got very excited. I was like, oh my word, we're getting a 50th anniversary Lady J. This toy is gonna be amazeballs. And like the pictures looked great, and I was so excited about this, and I even loved it very much when I got it at the time, except for the really shitty paint job. And if you're looking at the picture, if you can see the picture that I've displayed right now, even on that picture her eyes are crap, and that's one of the better ones. My one's even worse. My one, I think, got like an eye that's like traveling halfway into her hat. No, it's horrible. And then we got like the much more the sort of improved version, which is on the far left, and I can't even remember the subset that comes from. But anyway, that's kind of an improvement. But dudes, I wanted to love this figure so much over time. And the other day, I was at my folks' place just grabbing some stuff and visiting my folks, and I saw this toy again. And I was like, this is so crap.
So just to specify, is this Lady J that came in the Social Clash 2-pack with Baroness?
That's correct. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So QC
Yeah,
was
so-
out of control.
It was
Back
up
then.
to shit. And then there's also a few other weird things that they've done. Like, so if you see on this, and this is why I use this image in particular, or specifically use this image actually, was her proportions suck. She looks so dumpy. Like, I love the long-legged version that they did for the 25th anniversary, even though some of them suffered from a nappy crotch. Thank God I missed out on that one. But yeah, she just looks dumpy compared to the rest. She doesn't have the same kind of sexy look that the others do. Like she's not as, I don't know, it just looks ugh. And it's been plaguing me. And Jim even went as far as to send me a replacement head for this figure, which has sort of made it better. But my super fine painting tiny eyes ninja skills haven't quite evolved there yet for me to be able to show an improved version of this. But as it stands, I really dislike this Lady J, mostly because of how much of a disappointment it has become over the years, and also because the classified version, which I know is completely different scale, has kind of really kicked this toy in the balls, so to speak. Anyway, so that's my first entry into toys that I don't think aged well or that aged poorly.
Ryan's got an explanation for derpy-eyed Lady J. He says that Paul's figure has the Dallas-Fort Worth state, so she can see both cities at the same time. And Hans painted over his Lady J's face. She's sexy now.
Nice.
God, get
I
your skills
take your
going,
word
Paul.
for it.
It's going to be amazing.
Well, Hans is an artiste, of course. So yeah, I wouldn't trust myself with painting on that kind of miniature scale. Gee, correcting eyes. It's something that I think I've tried once or twice. and always fuck it up badly.
Yeah, it's always better just to
Yeah.
leave them alone, I think.
I mean, you see the guys, the Warhammer guys, the miniature painters like Jim Godfrey, they do amazing stuff. I mean, and they pull off those eyes incredibly well. I mean, I even did some eyes that I thought were pretty good, and I showed it to Jim, and he's like, Paulie, you can do better than that. I was like,
Good,
okay,
Jim.
Jim.
Well, thanks
I
again,
will.
Jim. He seems to be motivating this topic because one of your picks was ably assisted on this show as well by Mr. Godfrey. Look, dude, you seem to have, at least by this picture, this lineup of modern era Lady J's, you seem to have bought the best one right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
Like that cartoon accurate Lady J who doesn't have the diaper crotch. And has the slightly more zipped up top, ironically, which is less booby than the initial release Lady J's. She's great.
She is great.
You make me want to hunt that one down. I can only imagine it is the most desirable one
Yeah, man. I
for people looking
eBayed
for
like
Lady
crazy.
J's with no caps.
Yeah, no, like I had to go on eBay for that figure, like to buy it loose. I remember going through all of them and having Yojo back then, Yojo.com and General's Joe's open, and like, scrutinizing them, with my laser eyes.
Look, if you take the toy line to be your canon, Lady J is tall. I've said this before on the show. She's taller than her man Flint, at least in the O-ring version. So to have a more elegant, tall woman, Lady J, is accurate, at least to the plastic.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Flint's got to use a pillow, man.
My next one, and this is going to be a short one. It's Kevin Bacon. Gotta cut loose, foot loose, guys. I've
But he
never.
hasn't aged well anyway. Never mind, carry on.
No, you're thinking of Bazooka from Devil's Due, where they made him, should we say, not exactly able to pass the physical. Hey, is that what you're thinking, Paul?
Yeah, we'll just go with that.
Footloose. Didn't they kill him off? Like, this is the debate that I constantly have with myself. No, Footloose is still alive. I confused him with Crankcase, who also has a moustache, removable helmet, and did die in the comic line. In True Shul
Similar
Abysmia.
face sculpt.
Truth.
Like,
yeah. So I was schooled not too long ago by my buddy Mark Seddon from Talking Joe when I was like, yeah, Footloose, too bad he's dead. And Mark was like, but he's not. And I was like, holy shit, you're right, dude. He's not dead. But he has faded into obscurity, which is strange because everyone says this figure is incredible. And by rights, he should be. He's got all the technical markings of like a blockbuster G.I. Joe figure. But I guess he's just too plain Jane for me to get behind. And like the plain Jane, like Green Army Man look of him hides a wealth of details. He's got, I think, 2 tampos, one red, one kind of
he's
yellow.
amazing, dude.
He's got a paint application on his helmet, which has that molding that, like, indicates that he's obviously got some foliage stuffed in there. He comes with 2 incredibly good weapons, very realistic, very Vietnam War era, the law projectile launcher, well, not with the launching projectile, and the M16, both with straps, so you can sling both over his shoulder, or one or the other. He's got a great backpack. Like, he should be amazing. He came out the same year as Dusty, and while I love Dusty, it's contradictory, but I do not like Footloose and never have. And I don't know why. But I bought him one year thinking, now I'm going to start this love affair with this amazing character and this amazing figure. And it just never happened for me. I still can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's the fact that the helmet looks maybe a little too strangely shaped on his head. I mean, look, I've seen plenty of photographs of guys
like
in Vietnam where the helmets did have a bit of an awkward fit. Or, they made their head look a little bit mushroomy. Maybe it's the fact that the guns are awkward to get. Like, you can't have him hold the law. Realistic, or I don't know if it's a law, correct me if I'm wrong. Whatever it is, the projectile launcher, the rocket launcher, it doesn't have a handle, as it shouldn't. It's a tube. It's a very basic infantry artillery weapon. So it doesn't have a handle. It's realistic to the real thing, but makes it awkward for the figure to manipulate. You kind of have to use the strap to brace it, which is not a good look. The M16 is a thumb breaker because you got to get the arm around the stock and over the handle, but then not stress or break the strap. It's awkward, man. Footlooses they always have right thumbs that are, if not broken, very wide for this reason.
Well, mine has got a gun chucker because the person who owned this before me, Bart got hold of this guy for me, and
Broke the M16 in two.
Oh, the M16 is like split in two. So where the
That's a
the
common break
foregrip goes
too,
into
yeah.
and it's hilarious actually. But,
So the grip, the sort of the barrel end is broken off from the body of the rifle.
I was very impressed with this dude when I first got him in hand, and I'm still kind of impressed with him. But I know what you're talking about. It's almost like he's too realistic in a weird way. Like, in no way is he a bad toy. It's just he's just too normal. I don't know, for me. Like he's just an army man.
Well, it sounds like it.
And
Yeah,
he's
for
a
you
really
guys, at
great
least
army
he
man.
he fades into the background. Like he's too similar to other Joes. He doesn't stand out enough to kind of be himself.
Well,
You
he
That's-
wasn't
that's
one of
maybe
Larry's darlings. He didn't. He featured in the cartoon, sure, but in the comic book, he kind of faded into obscurity, and that just left the way open for the UK comic books to make somewhat of a bigger deal of him. So maybe if I was more au fait with Hasbro UK or Marvel UK's GI Joe stories, oh my goodness, Paul has found a picture of like a Halloween mask, and it is terrifying.
Holy moly!
Oh, Footloose.
That is
With
no,
dead,
please no.
dead eyes and no teeth, and the foliage on his helmet looked like a bow tie.
It does though. Actually, this is so
That's
bad.
hilarious. I don't know where you found that, Paul. That is genius. Predictably, I'm getting some hate mail from the Berg Force in the chats. Let me just take a moment to pore over them. Ryan's like, dude, Steve, I don't know you anymore. We can no longer be friends. Bob says, if G.I. Joe has layoffs, did everyone cut loose Footloose? Outstanding. Oh, man. And Mark, goodness gracious me, I'm sorry, Mark, but he says, no, you cannot dislike Footloose. Maybe it's not dislike. It's just a toy that, like, as the topic states, did not age poorly for me. I got it out of curiosity because I never pined for him. And I suppose my sentiments on him were confirmed when I got the figure, and I was just like, I have no sense for this guy. He's just another Green Army man. He's a day late and a dollar short to be in the OG 13 Green team, but you know he's too detailed to be in there anyways with Grunt. But just doesn't blow my hair back like someone like Dusty does, who I adore to the ends of the earth. Just everything about Dusty, so amazing. Maybe it's got something to do with the fact that Footloose was not present on any of the card backs that I possessed. I never saw the figure growing up. It's like he never existed in the Joe line until the internet came for me. So he is a day late and a dollar short. So I cut loose on Footloose. Anyways, I said I was going to be quick about him. I've taken him long enough. But yeah, sadly to say, I got to put my hand up and say he's just a toy that never aged well for me.
This is horrible. Bad news.
Just full of hate. By the way, this is how you're supposed to hold his gun. As soon as the picture like pops up. Yeah. So if you guys want to hold his gun without breaking his thumb, that's how you do it.
Like they did.
I
on
defy
the packaging.
anyone to try and get him to hold his M16 like he holds it on the packaging. O-ring figures just don't operate like that.
No,
They don't have the
I'm
wrist
just being
articulation to
cheeky.
do that. Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned wrist articulation. Just before we go to Rob's pick, do you know that Operation Recall's GI Joes will have swiveling wrist or swiveling battle grip wrists or something?
No,
You
you're
guys know
talking
about
about
that?
grindstone toys.
No,
Operation
Recall will
Recall.
have them. Yeah,
Ah, okay.
that struck
Oh,
me.
they're
I was
actually
like,
going to
oh,
have
my
them.
word.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, since
So,
mine's a battle android trooper, it already had that articulation, so
Yeah.
It
Preemptive.
makes no difference.
Pat on the shut
Clever,
up,
clever.
Carson. Pick me, Carson. Please pick me.
Do it. Do
Cool,
it.
let me
I
take this
farted
picture
that
away.
character out over a weekend. That'd be
He's
funny.
got to be good. He's got to be good. So my next pick, actually two of my picks are from the same period, and I think it's more like I wanted the other character more than I wanted this character. So I was like, I got them along with them. So they came in 2-packs. So
Very good.
this is Bat, I believe, version 4. He
Oh,
came
yeah.
in a 2-pack with a
Oh
really
God.
decent
Fucking
looking Beachhead, and I think why I got the 2-pack was because I wanted the Beachhead, and I was okay with getting the Bat, because I don't think we had many bats at the time, and it was just interesting. Okay, he has a new version of the Bat. He's a Venom.
I love his shorts.
Yeah. Actually, there's an interesting theme. There's another character on this list that also wears shorts, and I was like, shorts make no sense. I just can't see a dude in the military or a robot who wears shorts. It's ridiculous.
You've just tipped your hand, Rob. I now know what your next pick is. Hilarious.
So I mean, he just looks weird, like especially the legs. The legs are these really thin. I suppose they were like, it's definitely a robot. You got to see it's a robot. His legs aren't made the same as like normal people's. It just looks bad. And when you remove the weapons
Did
from
he
his
even live, bro?
arms, because I can't find the hands anyway, it looks absolutely ridiculous. Like it looks awful.
He's a
It's a
Ginsu.
te-
He slices, he
terrible.
dices. He's actually a
Ugh.
Cuisinart. But
It's
yeah.
an awful toy. The coloring is okay, but like it was in that period when they're kind of using a softer plastic, so like the little like pointy things on his head are like bent.
Wobblies.
So you can never get them nicely done. And like just like the choices of like he's wearing shorts and like a leather jacket,
Mindbender
and he's
Summer
a
Collection.
robot.
Like literally just shorts.
This is ready for the beach.
Mindbender doesn't wear shirts.
It's just wild to me that they decided to produce this. It's so uninteresting to me now. Looking back, I'm like, why did I buy it? And I know why I bought it. I bought it because I wanted the Beachhead from these 2-packs. And it's just I just can't even believe that I own this figure. But I own it because it came in a 2-pack, and I think I was okay with getting him at the time. But now looking at him, I'm just embarrassed that I even own this figure. Like if I could have bought Beachhead on his own, I definitely would have, because this is actually a really decent version of Beachhead from that time period.
This is perhaps a bit of a low-hanging fruit, to be honest. But I think for the most part, we can all agree that the modern era, not the modern era, the new Sculpt era, the big shoulders era, obviously has not aged obviously has aged
well.
poorly.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, I think in general they have, but I mean, some of them are still quite good. I mean, like I think that Beachhead is still a good figure. I still quite like him. He's maybe his proportion is more heroic than
Yes.
GI Joe, but I think it's still a fairly decent figure. But definitely this.
But they downgraded the detail in an era where it should have been ramping up. Like classic O-ring GI Joes showed up the new Sculpt era, in that the new Sculpt era just was a lot of flat colors, a lot of undetailed, bland areas of sculpting. Like the team that brought us this toy line in the 80s and early 90s were just next level. I don't want to throw shade necessarily, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Like the stuff from the new Sculpt era was more toyetic to its own detriment. Like it definitely aimed lower in terms of putting in engineering and sculpt detail and intricacy. So
they're trying something
that's
very
the
different.
swipe that I'm taking. Even if you don't go for the obvious points on the articulation and the proportions, just the kind of the bar being set to where it was for GI Joe in the like early to mid 2000s made them toys that could never age well. They were there to service a need for toys in the now, but very few of them are kind of retained as like classics, like a fine wine you'll go back to.
You're never gonna go back to these toys, and I get embarrassed every time I see this Bat version 4. It's just why.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why because it
I-
came in a 2-pack, but still, I'm just like, ugh.
My only memory of those toys is that they had them in Toys R Us for a spell, which I imagine is
Yes.
where you got yours from as well.
Mm.
Mhm.
And somebody came into the shop and they knew that I'm a GI Joe fan, and they're like, they have GI Joes at Toys R Us. So I was like, oh my god, Monday first thing I'm going to Toys R Us because that was my day off. And I shot through and I saw them and I was like, oh, these are crap. But it says GI Joe on the box, so I'm gonna buy like 2 or 3 sets of them. And I think it's a
It's a
character
problem.
called Hard Drive. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Oh god.
yeah.
He had a flip
And the
up computer
Baroness-
on his wrist. That was kind of fun.
That's a
but
cool
it-
thing. Yeah, that was
Oh.
cool. Yeah. And then
He-
like
his
a Storm
colors are
Shadow with
awful,
magnets.
but the gloppiness of the paint job on hard drive is what really pushes him into the poo category. Like it's just
Mm.
thickly applied yellow paint, yellow and I think
Yeah.
lime green. It's just like, oh man, it's just bad. It doesn't look like
Yeah.
a GI Joe, man.
He looks like he works at Jurassic Park or something. He's just a cuck.
I mean, honestly,
Anyway.
like Leonard figures of the same era looked better.
No, they did. They totally
Yeah.
did. Yeah. I think I bought some cool that year as well, to be honest. So
Mm.
yeah. So
All right, Robbie, nail another toy to the wall, please.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna
I
keep
haven't gone
going.
yet though. To be
No,
fair.
no,
Oh,
no.
shit.
But we have more.
It was
remember?
Rob.
It was me,
Yeah,
but
it was Rob.
that's true. Okay, no,
Oh,
you go.
Go for it, Rob. If you... No, let me go. Let's keep the spirit going because this one's gonna kind of be a little bit biggish,
Ooh,
but
interesting.
not too biggish. So, guys,
Your
when
sideshows
this toy
out.
came out, when this Storm Shadow came out, I was
Renegade
over
Storm
the
Shadow.
moon.
Mm.
Yep, it's the Renegade Storm Shadow, aka
That you can
also
convert in. Well, this is the initial release that came with all the option parts to make him look like the Renegades TV show, or look like 84 but with
white
long
ninja.
sleeves. Mm.
So at the time, I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And the reason I thought so is because of all of its incredible gear. This toy is loaded with fantastic gear. He's got swords. He's got throwing. He's got shuriken, throwing stars. He's got kunai, throwing knives. He's got little metal darts that he can throw. He's even got a fan. He's decked out. He's got a lot of great stuff. So I think my excitement for this was, stemmed from all of his great accessories and the fact that he was a significant upgrade, inverted commas, air quotes, that he was just like, he was just like meant to be this great upgrade. And you know what he was? And I enjoyed this toy quite thoroughly for a while, but it never felt like Storm Shadow for me. It always felt like Storm Shadow dressed in white pajamas. And it bugged me. That started to like grow on me. And the reason that this started to annoy me is because they released this dude, which is basically the same sculpt in red. It's just the red ninja version of that Storm Shadow. And guys, that kills it, hey? Like, I don't know. It just felt like,
The fact
oh my
that they
word,
repainted it.
it's just, yeah, because it takes away all the personality of this toy. All of this toy's personality and everything that it would have had is completely stolen from it once they did a recolor of it into red and called it a red ninja. So then it's, and I imagine there are some people out there who feel the same way about the red ninjas and the teal ninjas and all that being like kind of knockoff Storm Shadows in a weird way. But the thing is that, I don't know, I just felt... Hans Chow.
Yeah,
Renegade
he's on you,
Storm
dude. He's got your
Shadow.
number.
I thought you were cool. You were the chosen one, and I loved you. You were supposed to bring balance to the force, not leave it in darkness. Says Hans Chow. But guys, the reason that this figure has been left in the dust for me is because A, they released this bad boy, which is a major improvement, in my opinion, over the previous one. Yes, it lacks a little bit of elbow articulation because of the raised sleeves, and yes, it does represent it represents version 2 Storm Shadow, which is my avatar. And he just ticked off all the right boxes. He's like a win. But
I was not aware
the
of
Storm
that.
Shadow...
So they took the same buck of that
Yeah.
Renegade's Storm Shadow and then obviously put the digital camo over it and then changed his sleeves.
And changed his head. Changed his forearms, changed his head, and also changed he's well, not changed, but added a paint job to his lower legs.
Okay,
And
a little bit of a wash, and then
it's-
a V2 Storm Shadow in the modern era was born. It's a popular redo, but I was not aware of this figure. It looks bloody good.
He's great, right? And then my
Mm.
ultimate modern era Storm Shadow, which is the modern era Storm Shadow, which I think rules all, is this one. The what is supposed to be called Ultimate Storm Shadow. Once again, he comes with all of the great gear, or a lot of the great gear, sans the
He was on a
claws and stuff.
retaliation card, if I remember correctly.
That is no, yes, that's the second GI Joe movie. Yes, he's on that one of those shitty cards. Yeah,
And he has
this is the ultimate.
the pseudo claw that makes him like do, I don't know, side flips. You strap him in and then you
Yeah,
use
he
that punch
spins.
and he spins. Oh my goodness.
He spins.
Why?
It's ridiculous. I don't know.
It
it's a
could
big
be
load of
so
shit. It's
cool,
such a wasted
but
opportunity, right?
they fucked it. Mm.
They fucked it up. They fucked it hard, dude. But anyway, it's broken. But this Storm Shadow has destroyed this Storm Shadow for me. So yes, this is still a great toy. Please do not get me wrong. This Storm Shadow is a great toy. I feel like it lacks a bit of personality, but it's still an amazing toy. I actually bought two. I've got one in cards still at home for, I don't know, shits and giggles. I think I bought it because I was like, oh, maybe I want more ninja gear or something. But it's aged poorly because it's been surpassed by this version, the remake of version 1, which is so beautiful.
So for the listeners, Paul, Renegades
And for the-
has surpassed the... So, no, Jeez, another R. Retaliation Storm Shadow is better than
Yes.
Renegade Storm Shadow by
Correct.
a mile. Okay.
By not
Has outstripped his earlier brethren.
Yes. So incredible like update on that toy, and I had to mention it. And guys, because I don't want to mention Storm Shadow again in another roundabout, I'm just going to do it here quickly. So there's the fun box art for the ultimate Storm Shadow from Retaliation with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Snake Eyes, because that's what GI Joe is about. It's about them.
Dwayne The Rock
Annoying.
Dongson.
Dongson. There we go.
Sorry. Sounded like a funny
That's,
flub you were about to make.
And but also when this Storm Shadow came out, also a movie Storm Shadow, The Rise of Cobra,
Rise of Cobra.
Storm Shadow. I liked this. I'm not gonna lie. I thought this
I
was
prefer
such a
the
great Storm
unmasked
Shadow.
one, to be honest. Because he
I think
doesn't
it's
have...
a better toy. Yeah.
I think his movement is less restricted. He doesn't have that skirt.
Yes.
Hmm.
I liked this one because I liked the outfit so much, and this was like the first time I had held a GI Joe toy, in forever.
It's
got
a
this.
good modern update to Storm Shadow's look, and it's something that found its way almost wholesale into the Snake Eyes movie. Andrew Koji was wearing something that looked like the same thing. Was it Byung Young Hung had worn
Yeah.
a decade earlier?
Yeah.
It's like,
And
the wardrobe department got a pass on that one. It's like, oh, fine. Just steal
don't get me wrong,
that concept.
I don't hate this guy. I just don't feel he's aged well because of the posability limitations, and also that he has a gun holster. That really does annoy me. That's something that like really annoys me. Hans is like, Paul, please stop now. My keyboard is soaked in tears, says Hans Chow.
So, but
Me
to me,
too,
at least,
Hans.
it doesn't sound like you hate him. You just don't like that they reused his parts for other figures afterwards, and the kind of like the way
Yeah.
that they reused them kind of soured you on the original version. So it's not that
Yeah,
you
that's what it
don't,
did.
that you dislike it. You just think, unlike the way that they used Snake Eyes' parts over and over again for every other figure, reusing Storm Shadows was kind of like it soured him for you.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like
it
every
did. Like,
Storm Shadow's got to be special and unique.
because you guys understand, with this Red Ninja, they released a red one, then they released a more red one, then no, this is the more red one. Then they did one that's like black and red, like more black and red than this, if you can believe that.
More
Then they
Red
did like a
Ninja.
gray one. Then they did, I think there's a teal one as well. I could be wrong. I could be mistaken. And I feel like there's a green one somewhere in the mix as well. I could be wrong. So, but it like completely diluted the excitement that was that initial Storm Shadow release, and that's why it just hurt
Wasn't
me a
the
little
final
bit, you know?
nail in the coffin that they settled on that version for the retro carded
Oh
ones,
god.
the
Yeah,
Walmart
don't even get me
exclusives?
started on that shit. Yeah.
Like instead of using
Yeah,
the
that's
Retaliation
best one.
Ultimate Storm Shadow, they used the long sleeve one, which you dislike. And Hans has come to my rescue. I need to hang my head in shame for absolutely butchering the actor's
Hyun-Byung
name.
Lee.
Hyung Byun Lee, aka the best Storm Shadow, according to Hans.
Hey.
Hey, Andrew
shit.
Koji's no slouch either, dude. Let's be fair.
I just found out
They
that
haven't messed
Warrior
up-
was shot in South Africa. I'm gonna watch
Yes, in
that
Cape
show
Town.
now, dude.
Dude, it's so great. I love Warrior.
My sister's staying with us at the moment, and she's like, "You what? You haven't seen Warrior? Firstly, Andrew Koji is incredible, but secondly, you will see people you know popping up everywhere." I'm like,
Oh,
Cool.
that's wild.
I've
Gotta watch
even
the
seen
show.
people you know, Steve. It's
amazing,
like
man.
it's like that Ridley Scott film, Ridley Scott series, the Raised by Wolves. Like every now and
Yes.
then there's a henchman
I
that's
worked
like,
with her.
"Yo, we should go find them," and I'm like, "Hey."
I drinks with that guy. But Rob, you will know. I mean, Emily Child, she's in it.
Yes. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
Okay, I
nice
must
part
actually
too.
check it Oh, yeah.
Nick Pauling's got a good part.
Nice. Good
My buddy
guy.
Emmanuel Castus, he's got apparently 2 scenes and he's absolutely ripping it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Castus
very
is
cool.
great. Yeah,
Ah,
He's
nice.
a good
Well,
dude,
jeez.
Manuel Castus.
Where have I
Wow.
been, guys? Why has no one told me I need to see this show? Stupid.
We tell you the shit,
You've
and then
been
you're
in
just
Australia
like,
for years.
oh,
You don't listen
Oh.
to Paul because he recommends everything. I think that's the problem. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, watch this
Uh,
and
I
this
watch
and this and that and everything
Throws
else.
all the shit at the wall. Still just sliding down
Steve-
my wall.
Well,
Bring
well,
this
well,
one
is
home.
the next? Yeah, bring. Oh well.
Yeah, you-
I've got
well,
one more
I've-
later,
I've
but
got-
it's not really.
I've got 2
one.
more.
And
So
Ooh,
maybe
then Rob, you've just
Let me go
nominated
quickly.
yourself, pal.
yeah. Let me go
Rob.
quickly with the other one that I kind of
Rip-
alluded to
rip
before.
into a new toy.
Well, it's
Rip
kind
it.
of in the same vein. It's from the same period, which I suppose is it's low ball, it's easy fruit, but still. So when I took pictures of this guy,
Low
I
balls.
literally named the pictures this guy, because I could not remember his bloody name, and I was like, did he come with the rhino?
It's or
How
oak.
did I get this figure? And then when I was looking, for pictures of the bat, I realized, oh, okay, this is Alpine. So the shorts
Mm.
kind
Oh,
of
shit.
makes sense in a way, but it's
He's
still
a cool toy, though.
he's an okay
I
toy.
think.
But my problem is he has shorts. That's my biggest problem with this guy. He has shorts.
Hey,
He's got little like knee pads on.
the
I
Ricky's
don't-
wore shorts.
I can't take a soldier seriously if he has shorts on. For whatever reason, it just makes no sense to me. Like even if you're climbing, you could be hit and run. You can be whoever. You can wear an entire outfit. But the reason why I got him once again is I actually really liked the Swamp Rat figure. He actually
Swamp Rat.
is really
Looks like he's
actually
from
an
Star
ugly
Wars.
figure. He's a really
in the
ugly
background.
figure too. But I still think I like him more. I still like
Sorry.
him more than Alpine. I just thought he looked interesting. I mean, the picture actually, I think, is actually better than the figure of Swamp Rat. Maybe I should have featured Swamp Rat, but I couldn't find him. I think he's hidden in a swamp somewhere. But Alpine, yeah, I was just like, I think he's
People like
okay.
Alpine's
He's
crotch.
decent, but he's got shorts on. I just don't get it. Like, I think at the time he was fine because I was like, I really want Swamp Rat, so I'll get this figure to have him. But I've looked at him over the years and I've been like, he's wearing shorts. Why? Why do you have shorts on?
I don't know why I hate that. Why I don't hate this figure. I don't understand the shorts and the knee pads though, because he's not a skater.
Yeah, he's a climber, so I suppose like shorts is
Yeah.
okay because he's climbing, but like still, I just don't. It's like shorts on a soldier to me just makes no sense. Like I've never watched a movie, where like I don't know, Steven Seagal is running around in shorts, and he's shooting
Thank
guns
God
or
for
like
that.
Well, have you
Chuck
seen
Norris is-
Steven Seagal's legs?
I don't think we want
Nobody has. They
Exactly
don't
my
exist.
point.
drugs. Well, like Chuck Norris, killing guys in shorts. Like it just.
Well,
to
Chuck
me, it
Norris
doesn't-
does. He does actually wear. He wears like a jean pant shorts in one movie.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
real.
Sexy.
I'm sure he can, but still,
Was
like
it
when he's a
Invasion
soldier,
USA?
when he's a soldier,
Could be.
like Rambo doesn't run around in shorts. He's a man. He wears pants. like a man should. Yes.
He's a man. He wears
Just no
pants.
shirt. A lot of baby oil.
Shirtless is fine. That's okay. You know, you can have a backpack. You have pockets. You have pouches. You're fine. Yeah. So there was another figure where I was like, oh, I just can't anymore.
Well, as
I think
far
I
as
got
a,
him-
a GI Joe figure that could be a shoe-in for just a random civilian, you can't get much better than a guy wearing a mustard shirt, red shorts, and a cap. Like, he is
It's-
totally
Yeah.
not
But he's
military.
exactly. He's just so not what I imagine when I think of a soldier, and I can't even. Once again, I'm embarrassed to own this figure. Even though
There's
now
a
looking at
generation-
package Swamp Rat, I should be more embarrassed at owning Swamp Rat.
There's-
This is a bad 2-pack. I don't know what I was thinking back then.
There's people that really like that Swamp Rat figure. I remember that coming up quite a bit on forums and stuff.
Oh,
you
I
know,
liked
back
him
in the
too.
day,
I
like a
also
few
thought he
years
was pretty
ago.
good. I mean, honorable mention actually. We could just add this entire 2-pack as a thing.
You lost the
I just gave
tail
people the
first.
benefit of the
I have
doubt.
no memory of Swamp Rat's tail.
Yeah, I don't remember it either. This is
There's
completely
a
gone. He was cool
Cobra
because he
guy
had
who has a
knives
tail.
on his hips. I thought that was really cool. You know, it's the two sheets
What
with
was his
knives.
backstory? Was he just
Ah,
a dude
fuck, I
who's
can't
into
remember.
rats?
He was just really into
Just-
rats.
Okay,
I don't
so,
even think
so
they knew what he was
Crocmaster's
into.
into Crocs. Yes. Okay. Hans is screaming at his computer right now, talking about Quinn.
The uppercase.
Yeah, well,
Quinn
that's-
is a
yeah,
man's man, and he wears shorts. Yes, Quinn is probably
that's the
the most
exception that
manly
proves the rule.
short-wearing GI Joe character.
It's the exception that proves the rule. I think
You've got a Quinn figure, Rob, as I recall.
I do indeed, and I think
Mm.
he's a very good figure. But I think he's
With
the exception.
shorts.
And he
Ah,
has
great.
shorts on. But as I said, I think he's the exception that proves the rule. You know, because it's so bloody hot and down there. You know, Darren's telling me how proud the Australian Army is of their shorts.
Well, dude, if I'm not mistaken, the Reckies, the South African Special Forces back in the days, and Kufut and stuff, they also used to wear shorts. And the reason yeah,
Our Bitter Einde custom by Jim has a version
he's
that's
got
wearing
shorts.
shorts, which is
Yeah.
wonderful because it exposes his robotic leg quite nicely.
Oh, there we go.
Mm.
yeah, and also like remember, like when the ticks bite them, they don't get tick bite fever. The ticks get, you know, Recce bite
Recce bite fever.
fever, and then they die.
I don't know. I think it's just an image in my head. Like a soldier doesn't wear shorts. I'm sure there would wear shorts. There's reasons to wear shorts.
Oh, the
but to
desert
me, it
rats in
feel-
North Africa in World War II. They're
I know
examples.
for sure, but like I just like generally the image in my mind, like you're wearing pants. I don't know. It's a personal thing. I think maybe I like wearing shorts in real life, but I mean I can't imagine being a soldier wearing shorts. I probably only want to fight in like northern countries anyways, like in the snow. So
No, it's much better that
Mhm.
way.
Not
Yeah,
North
Yeah.
Africa.
not North Africa, even more north.
All right.
Scandinavia.
Cool.
I think I'm going to clear my ledger, boys, and almost in the same vein as you, Paul, I'm going to take a swipe at a legendary character and their version that is often hailed as like the greatest. But for me, it's
Trigger
gotta be
warning for everyone.
You guys are lighting fires tonight.
Pursuit
my
of
God.
Cobra Snake Eyes.
Wow.
Wow.
If you thought our audience was crying before,
Got
We've
this
just lost
figure
subscribers.
very excitedly because he was heralded as the Snake Eyes to rule them all. He came with both heads, Commando and Ninja. He came with gear that basically cover you in both respects. He had the bomb satchel. He had swords galore. He had an Uzi. He had a pistol. He had silencers that worked both on the pistol and the Uzi. And he had sheathed knives all over his person. He just had it all, man.
Lots
like-
of stuff to lose. It's great.
Well, POC was amazing at giving you this wealth of accessories. You had a play set, an armory in a blister pack,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. I was so excited to own this figure initially, but subsequent to that, my opinion has just kind of gone into a tailspin. And I'm not entirely sure why. I think I pin it initially to, well, there were a few strikes right off the bat. Didn't like his hands. His hands incorporated the up-down swivel on the one and the left-right swivel on the other. But by having that added kind of joint, it made the pad of his hands, his palms, quite thick. And that impacted the way he held weapons. I don't know if I was just being stupid, probably, back in 2011, but I yanked those hands out and replaced them with, they were retaliation Snake Eyes hands, which were far daintier and could fit trigger guards and stuff. Whereas, Pursuit of Cobra Snake Eyes' hands were these meaty mitts, and I did not like them. I could happily do away with the added articulation just to have more low-profile hands. And I did. The next strike was the knife sheath on his web gear. So it's right next to his head. And while it is quite low profile and small, it's not small enough, man. It's this blocky thing that if you are shooting, particularly in close-up on his head, you're going to have this interruption of this blocky sheath just always occupying his headspace. So that I yanked off. Fortunately, it is just a mushroom peg. You just push it in or pop it out. So it's an easy thing to get rid of, and the hole doesn't annoy me. The next strike, however, was the Arashikage symbol on his person. It's subtle, but it's there, and I don't like advertising your clan. Like, Snake Eyes was the figure famously clad in all black with no paint apps. This pop of color should be something that you get excited about, like, oh, they went a little bit extra there, but I would have happily done without it. It's just like the weird red dot on the classified release in his forehead. Like, why? I don't understand. And yeah, I've never been in the camp of like the Arashikage advertising their branding. So anytime I see a symbol on a uniform, I'm like, could have done without that. Yeah, you're a ninja, not a samurai. Exactly. He's got loads of swords. I'm not going to begrudge him that because I just shuffle him into the parts bin. I don't have my Snake Eyes running around the battlefield with a sword in his back, a sword on his belt, and a sword in his hand. Nah, forget that. But I think the most damning thing was something that I liked about him initially, but have subsequently started to dislike, and that's they chose to have these lovely textural touches of adding elasticated straps that are hanging off his armor, his web gear. And now initially I thought, wow, that's so interesting. That's some visual intrigue. I like this. But I've been on the kind of the message boards and discussion groups long enough to know that people are criticizing it in that as a commando, you want your gear to be very nicely lashed tight to your person. Be as low profile as possible. You don't want to make a noise. You don't want to snag on anything. Why on earth is GI Joe's premier sneaky man got these things hanging off him? I mean, maybe if he was like stuffing timber in there, to kind of do a paradrop with his animal companion, sure, that could be a plausible function. But he doesn't come with timber. This figure was intended to be commando on his own.
That's it. That's why it's crap.
Yeah, I put my finger on it.
Carry on.
Also, his ankle articulation sucks. Like, if you're not using a stand, he's difficult to stand up. There, I said it,
Yeah,
guys.
he is.
I think I need to recuse myself and actually leave the podcast now because I'm going to get hate mail. I see the comments have blown up.
I love that my ones are like people can just very easily agree. Like
They're gonna
yeah,
hate on them
we
with
can
you.
understand how shitty those are. We don't even understand why you like them in the first place, Rob. But with your choices, guys, you're just like, wow, this is like unpopular opinions episode part 2.
Yeah, totally. Well, why not?
Yeah.
If you're going to put together a list like this, be provocative. Like, turn some heads. And I couldn't do better than to take seemingly everyone's favorite modern era Snake Eyes, though I'm going to question that just now, and knocking him down a few pegs. I also found it bizarre that his knee pads were gray like I swapped them out with Pursuit of Cobra Stalker's knee pads. 'Cause I
Black
wanted
ones.
them to be, just
Mm.
why? Like, I know it adds another color to the palettes, but that's not Snake Eyes' thing. And if this Snake Eyes is aiming to tap into that classic black on black, like swap out the knee pads immediately. I also needed to add maybe I think a drop of glue, because I didn't like the fact that I could be playing with this guy in the grass, and if a knee pad pops off, it's probably the last time you'll ever see it. It's gone.
Mm.
Same thing with the silences. Like
Remember.
small parts are, This is a figure that's meant to stay on the shelf, clearly.
I
But
have. Oh, sorry.
yes,
Yeah.
no, I was about to
No,
shift
no.
the topic ever so slightly. So, Paul, say what you want to say about this guy.
The only thing I don't like about this, because I dig the Snake Eyes, but the thing I dislike the most is the ankle holster knife sheath thing. Because this picture illustrates exactly what irritates me. If you got this the silenced, pistol in there, it does sort of create a funny line with the knife that's sheathed, and also it does a weird thing when you bend the leg. I don't know, that's always irritated me. It's an easy thing to fix. I haven't touched or tweaked mine at all, but it is something I don't like. Literally the only thing I don't like on this guy. Otherwise, I'm very much in love with the Snake Eyes still. I think he's like my second or third favorite modern era Snake Eyes.
Well, that prompts me to
so-
my question. Like, what is regarded as the best modern era Snake Eyes anymore? Because this
Ooh.
guy, he's been overplayed now. He was released again in the retro
Renegade.
line, but without the commando head. So weird. They used the commando artwork and they used the ninja visor head. So he's just, you missed the mark there, guys. Come on. We need those glory days of Pursuit of Cobra where you just included everything in the box. So what is regarded as the best modern era Snake Eyes? It's not so clear anymore. It's not so clear cut.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Yeah, I can't speak for everyone. I know for me, I really love the one from Renegade, the animated version one. And then I think the
Yes!
one that they released called the Ultimate Snake Eyes.
You mean Resolute?
Yeah, sorry,
Oh, is it-
Resolute.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
The other
No,
animation.
Renegades.
The
I
Renegades
like the
animation.
Renegades one. Yeah.
Okay. The 18.
And the Resolute
Gotcha.
one. I like them both. Like, I think they're very cool toys. I like that
They
dollar
add
store one that
something
they did.
new. I think that's my point. Like this Snake Eyes attempts to like be the ultimate expression of the old, but like for a modern era Snake Eyes to top the pops for me, it has to be like progressing the legend of Snake Eyes into a new version. Because every time Snake Eyes reinvented himself in the O-ring, it was distinct. So I'm less inclined to pick up a modern era do-over of a classic, and more inclined to pick up a Snake Eyes that adds something new. And to that, I would put Resolute Snake Eyes as my favorite, because he's lithe, he's got great gloves, he's got that paintball mask with the breathing holes, but it's in gray. It's
Fun
cool,
to play
man.
with.
Very fun to play with, and he sheaths
His glider's cool.
The glider's cool. If you've got that version, you've kind of like I've taken both the glider one and the City Strike one, and made my ultimate pick and choose of the best bits of both. Please stop clicking. Whoever's clicking drives me crazy.
Sorry, that's me. I thought I was muted.
The worst, Paul. You're never muted. You're a mutant. Yeah, so City Strike Snake Eyes / Resolute 7-pack Snake Eyes is my favorite modern era Snake Eyes.
Wild.
Yeah. How about you, Rob? Have you got a top of the pops modern era Snake Eyes to mind?
What would be my favorite? I mean, I think probably just the one that kind of like emulates the version 3. I still think that's probably one of my favorites.
Because he can now sling that submachine gun.
Yeah,
And the knives are on his chest.
I think he's very lithe as well, and I like that he's like a deep. I think he's like a proper deep black, like he's completely black, and definitely version 3 was my absolute favorite growing up, and it was nice that they reproduced him quite faithfully in the modern era. But I agree, this Resolute one is actually pretty good too. It does something different. But I do like that my favorite is a reproduction of my favorite classic version of Snake Eyes.
Ooh.
I love this dude. Like,
You
You love
love-
it,
I
do
think
you?
it's
What is that
very
dude?
fun to play with. That's the so-called ultimate Snake Eyes on screen.
Ultimate
Is
Snake Eyes.
and he looks a lot like his comic version. Trying to remember who the artist was who liked to put on those little ankle pouches. But it's that version. And his head's a bit modern. His head is actually a painted version of the head that comes with the shitty 5POA Snake Eyes that came out at some point. But anyway, this is actually a great little Snake Eyes figure. It doesn't do too much that hasn't been done before in the line up until now, except for the sculpt for the body, which is quite lithe and
He's
just
very
fun to
live
play with.
felt.
Yes,
Because he's
I felt.
super slim, super form fitted. Like you can see all the musculature, but he's got those big, chunky ankle pouches.
Hell
I keep
yeah.
thinking it's Mike Zeck is the artist I think who did this version of him. But anyway, yeah, but
Probably
I do
Zek.
agree with that.
Rod Wiggum
Yeah.
was on interiors at the time. Like it is the classic visor Snake Eyes presentation. But
I just like this 'cause it's
now
fun
in
to
a
play with
in a
still.
post Liefeld Snake Eyes series world, that's
He
all I
just
can
looks
think
like
of.
Liefeld, yeah.
Sorry.
Unfortunately. Or fortunately for those Liefeld fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also as Hans Charles said here, he uses all the Resolute parts, but he's in jet black. No.
I think he's
actually.
talking about. You need to read further, Paul. There's a very nice
Oh.
Rise of Cobra Resolute Snake Eyes in jet black from the 4-pack rescue mission. He's very,
Oh,
very
that's
nice.
the one. Yes. Yeah. No, that's
I'm not
a great
familiar with
Snake Eyes
that.
as well.
Okay.
He comes with
So
a trench coat as well, if I'm not
It's
mistaken.
Resolute's body, but all in black.
Well,
Yeah.
when a character has over 68 different versions, I don't
It's
expect you to be
mind-boggling.
familiar with
Yeah.
every single one. So
But
it's
yeah, guys, I
understandable
think
that you
that-
don't know exactly which one he's talking about.
I think that safely wraps up our figures that aged poorly. I mean, the only thing
I know,
have
I
left to
have.
really add to this.
I've got a
Do
few.
you have one more, Rob?
I still have one more, yeah.
Well, oh, shit.
I think
okay,
I was the
well
guy who
then,
hated the
lay it
most,
on us.
apparently.
Enter him into the
Apparently.
wheel of shame.
So there was, yeah, I did a little brief preview of him earlier.
Hold on to your ass,
accidentally.
Hounds.
When I was going through my pictures, but like, and it's not the fact that he's the fun school version. It's just the fact that I think he looks like a child, and this is Tracker. Whether he's painted in his original colors or in these colors, I don't even think that's his backpack. I just put it
Oh
on
my
there because it
word.
looks appropriate. So this is the fun school version of Tracker, but like, it's not even that; it's the fun school version.
What's with
He
you
just
and
looks like a
oars?
child. It's absolutely insane. Especially he's wearing like the shoes he's wearing looks like they're sneakers, and then he's got these weird like the texture above that, which the fun school people decided to do in silver, which kind of makes it really stand out. He just looks ridiculous. Once again, it's a guy who I feel is not a GI Joe, and it has to do with those shoes. I think we got him, or at least I got him because I was like, it's something to get. We kind of fun to like, fill up his little dinghy thing and put him on the water. And
Rob,
it was.
That was
a
fun,
bunch
though.
of Fun School Joes popped up at Factory Toy Shop, and you just
Yeah,
bought all
I
of
think
them
we just bought all of them
indiscriminately.
because I was like, I just
That's
had to
why.
get something. And it was just exciting to be able to buy, and it was the excitement of buying them rather than the excitement of owning them. And years later now, this is also one of the ones that I'm just like, why? I really don't like you.
Do you remember, Rob? And this is the one saving grace that I have to throw at this figure. But do you remember when we first got superhero figures in the 3 3/4 inch scale? They were part of a board game, a card game. They were made by Toy Biz,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, and they
And-
had like little stands so you could pose them.
Exactly. Yeah. And you had an Iron Man figure, but I think Iron Man 2008 had just come out, and it became apparent that there were times when you wanted to play Tony Stark without him encased in iron.
Yeah.
I took a fine liner pen and drew a goatee on Tracker, and I was like, "Hey, we good. We got our
Perfect.
Tony Stark.
We did
There you
it.
go, Rob. Have fun with that." Hey, do you remember?
I do. Oh gosh.
I mean, for some reason,
it's definitely rubbed off by now, but
the red top, gold pants kind of made him Iron Man looking. Like he could effectively be wearing that underneath the armor.
you could definitely play with him as not a Joe, but like to me, he doesn't feel like a Joe. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna bother showing you a picture of what he looks like as a GI Joe, but like it's just his look it's the pants with those weird socks, and then the sneakers that he wears. It's very odd. It's very odd. But obviously, I mean, I was compelled to get them at the time. Like, there's a whole bunch of cool Fun School ones, and he's definitely the poorest of the lot. Yes, he found some use in like some of our superhero games, but in general, I think he's once again a toy that I'm just embarrassed I own. Like, why do I have you?
Bob's comment slayed me. He says that Tracker's ankles make him look like he's under house arrest. Yeah,
Double
I don't know if
house
it's
arrest.
true. Is it true of the original release, or is it just the Fun School release that has like silver painted?
I think
accents?
it's basically just
the original's white.
the original
Okay.
is white, but it still looks ridiculous. But it's like the texturing as well. It's like
And I think the
whatever
shoes are
color this
purple again.
is, it just looks silly. Yeah, so that's my last one, but I'll do a quick special mention because I know Paul usually likes doing special mentions.
Yay.
Yeah, I feel
So-
cheated. Where's my special mention, Paul?
Yeah, no, Paul said he's going to
It's
talk for
coming.
hours, and he didn't. Gosh, so my special mention is a character that like, I mean, I wasn't super excited to get him when I got him, but like over the years, he became a more of a favorite. But over time, he's also kind of like a weight on my neck. It's like every time you think Rob, you think, oh, this guy, and you're like, oh, okay, he's going to talk about him again, isn't he? How's he going to add him into this list? So, Scoop, I just can't stand this thing. It's awful. It's like he doesn't come with any guns.
Troll.
He's just the worst. Oh gosh, look at him. He doesn't even have his own mic. The mic's so easily lost. I mean, look at that. Honestly, and a silence pistol. He can't even shoot a guy, you know, like loud and make sure everyone knows that he's shooting them. Come on.
Shoot a
Here's
guy
this
in
guy.
wide, but he can't shoot a guy dead. Yeah.
Nice, touche. Well, talking about making a lot of noise, man, I thought someone was breaking into the house a couple of nights ago because I heard this rustle
Jesus.
in the bushes. So I broke out the flashlight and was inspecting the grounds for a very nerve-wracking 10 minutes. Turns out it's my dickhead neighbor who likes to chop down branches of trees that are rooted on my side of the fence, but are now extending
they go
over his
over
side of
onto
the
his
fence.
side. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with you sending the foliage back my side for me to deal with. That's fine. But the fact that he's spineless enough to do it in the dead of night pisses me off.
Fucking hell.
Like, dude,
just
you had me
ignored.
going for a second that we had a trespasser like hiding in the bushes.
And then you
What
realize
a
you're in
dickhead.
Australia.
Well, yes, I know. It's kind of contrary to my entire belief of this place. Like, what? This is utopia.
He's coming right
no
for
one,
me.
No one breaks into houses here. But no, man, it was nerve wracking. I was like, shit, I'm in South Africa mode right now. Like, lock up your valuables and get out your shotgun.
Oh gosh, what a
Fucking
doer!
Steven's
Like
there. He's got the face
just-
paint on. He's in the garden. He's like, I'll get you.
that's
Protect my
that's so
property
sneaky.
with my life.
Anyway, that's great, dude. I'm sorry.
But on to
that-
happier things, guys. Should we talk a little bit about new shit before we sign off on episode 247?
Oh hell yeah, dude! What's new?
After
with
I
you?
make this PSA, because
Oh,
like Rob
jeez.
said, I do have a notable mention. Guys, when I got this Cobra Claw, I was so excited. I was so amped. I got two. I got the red one and I got the white one. And I was like, this thing is so much fun. I can zip around. It's got the cool little handles. It's got little bombs. It's just rad. And I was like, oh, this is a great little toy. And then Steven came over to my house with these newly purchased vintage claw that he found at my local comic shop. Yeah. And I was like, well, this red thing is a piece of shit.
Oh no!
Like, this aged poorly. Like, literally, it went from being, yay, I love this thing, to, oh, this is cuck. Like,
terrible.
like the space
It's
of
like they
Steven.
took a 3D scan of it's like they 3D printed the claw without disassembling it. Because none of the functionality of the claw exists in this. It's a one piece of plastic. It doesn't have swiveling airfoils or extendable wings. It doesn't have a removable engine cover. It's got nothing.
Nothing. It's just shit. So I feel like the Joe fan base is, hates this or has a unanimous hate for this. I hope. So we hope we made you feel better. Hans, if I just ruined the only claws that you own, I do apologize, my dude. But yes, let's talk about some new stuff.
New shit. Well, firstly, our dear friend Ryan Sweeney has just sworn off us, or me at least. He says, "That's it. Footloose, Scoop, and Snake Eyes. I can't take it anymore. I'm done." Well, Ryan, something that will never age poorly is a delight that you included in a care package that you sent to me, and it was a Thunder Machine. Holy
Hell
shit
yeah.
balls, my guys! But not just any Thunder Machine. This is Ryan's Thunder Machine. He's full-time classified
Oh
now
shit!
and has decided. Oh, my screen's doing funny things. Has decided to part with his personal Thunder Machine, which has been customized using a Toy Hacks label sheet to have like the Firebird symbol on the front
Shit,
of
that's
the.
nice.
It's so nice, so
Oh,
nice.
heck
Oh,
yeah.
dude, that's really cool.
The
I've actually
stickers
got my
are
Thunder Machine here
foil.
as well.
They are foil,
Yeah.
so they like shine light off them. Oh, so good. And there are custom other stickers, like subtle stuff, like bullet holes, and the walls of the tires now have like I think it says radial, like it's a yellow sticker that brings out the actual type on the tire. So nice. Thank
So
you,
nice,
Ryan. This
Ryan.
is now shot to the top of the pops. Like I had a Thunder Machine before. Well, guess what, Rob? You just got a Thunder Machine, pal.
Hey.
This is now
Congratulations, Rob.
numero
That is the
uno.
best one.
Well, if only Ryan had heard
Well,
this
now we all
episode
have Thunder
before he
Machines.
sent that
That's
to you, he
cool.
would have held on to it.
You do not deserve this.
No,
I then
this is
also picked up.
incredibly
They
cool toy.
finally, a month late, arrived at retail in Australian toy stores. The Batman 4-inch figures from Spin Master. Spin Master
Ah.
do very toyetic, very colorful, lovely action figures in that scale for Batman, for Justice League, and they're very cartoony, and the detail is bold and smooth and comic booky. This, however, is an extremely detailed figure because, of course, it's designed after the films. It has the same basic articulation, which I
That's
think
cool.
is mandated. Like Spin Master can't do waist articulation, they can't do wrist articulation, not because they can't do it, but I think maybe there's a legal clause because they would otherwise be in direct competition, maybe with McFarlane's toys, because
Could
McFarlane
be.
have an overlapping license. Maybe Spin Master have to make more kiddie toys, and McFarlane makes more adult toys, and the dividing line is the articulation. Because it would be nice if I could twist this guy's waist. But let me tell you that his details are unexpectedly good.
You know how
Just
jealous I am of that Batcave, man. But yeah.
you
Sorry.
like my Spin Master Batcave.
I
It's
l-
cool, man. It's got a
I
good
love
display
playsets, dude.
board that actually lights up. But the Batman himself, terrific. Just an example of the detail, like his grapple launchers that are like, they would be a separate accessory piece, but on this figure they've molded it into his gauntlet, which is lovely. I like the fact that Batman's gear in the Batman is integrated into his costume. It's not that he's constantly pulling stuff off his utility belt inexplicably, and he has like, I don't know, electromagnetic guns attached to his bat pod. Like all of his stuff is integrated into his uniform, and some of it kind of amateurish. Not amateurish is the wrong word. It's kind of bulky in a sense. He's the first Batman to like have a drop leg holster, basically. So you see the practicality of his gear, and I wish I had a picture of it, but the detail in this figure is so good. They've even included the zippers on the backs of his boot cuffs,
Oh, that's
No way.
wild.
is also a mind-blowing detail
For a Spin
that must have
Master,
been present
jeez.
on the actual costume design, and it just speaks to
Yeah.
the aesthetic that they went for with the Batman. It's like, whereas in other Batman iterations, of course, this is a costume that needs to be worn by a human being. It's going to have zippers, it's going to have poppers, but it's all going to be concealed under flaps to make this very incredible, like mind-boggling uniform. But with the Batman, it kind of flaunts the fact that it's quite obviously worn, and this is how a human being would actually pull on all this stuff. So it doesn't hide the zippers, and the toy is good enough to recreate that. So I'm loving this toy on multiple levels, and I'm loving the design aesthetic of the film even more now. As before mentioned, Paul included a little box of figures with my sister when she arrived. She handed over a Chun-Li that had a really busted up head for some reason. It was sitting really low in the body. I realized it was because there were these two stops that are actually inside the body that were snapped off. I think maybe the previous owner tried to make her head do a 360, and now it can basically do a 900.
Red Rob.
Anyway, I finally cured my curiosity and took that head, put it into Jinx's body, and now I have an unmasked Jinx, and I love it. Good stuff. Thank you, Paul.
That's
And
pleasure, dude.
we're keeping it, keeping with the hits. Inside that box from Mr. Loebscher was, I think it was a belated birthday gift, if I'm not mistaken, but it was a third-party Cobra Trooper. Who's it by? Chris, I love it, Paul.
Black Major.
Is it a Black Major?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I couldn't be sure because the gun is a resculpt of the Dragunov, and it is very clean. It is.
It's nice, eh?
It's made in that hard plastic, so the details are all super, super sharp. Like, because the original weapon, it's kind of a bit gloppy, but this kind of sharpens up all the details to, like, high def. This is 4K. This is 5K accessory. But speaking of the figure itself, like, love it. Where the previous Cobra Trooper had sort of grays and black for the balaclava or for the face mask, this one does it in red to make him, I suppose, more comic book accurate, and adds a Cobra symbol to the side of the helmet. So the details are just on point. For a Black Major figure, this is exceeding, I think, the quality that I've come to expect from him. This is actually on a very close parity to the original toy. I've held a few original Cobra Troopers in my day to know that they weren't the tightest. They weren't the best designed. They're a classic. And this has very faithfully, almost illegally approximated that classic. The rivets are not reversed. I'm like, whoa, what's
Which
going
I also
on
thought
here?
was a bit odd.
That's dangerous, man. But look, the coloring is what gives it away, because no original 1980s O-ring Cobra Trooper would have these red colorings instead of the black and grays. But he's good. He's very good. So Thank you, Paul. He also came with additional gear, which the original didn't. Has a backpack, which is a reuse of Big Bear's backpack, I believe. And then a modern era AK, which is a bit of a thumb breaker. I would not advise using it.
Looked at. Yeah, I was actually surprised that there was an extra gun. Ooh.
Ooh. And then last but not least, a very belated gift from our buddy MCDJ, CTC. He asked me once upon a time, because he was sending some stuff to you, Paul, and he was like, Jubs, what do you still have on your hit list? And I was like, well, I've never had a Laser Viper. It was a figure that belonged to a friend of mine. I always played with his. It always astonished me that it shared peg space, at least in South Africa, with Astro Viper. I was like, these guys are the same. They're the same toy. They aren't, obviously, but if you saw them both on pegs at the same time, you might too be confused. But Laser Viper, yeah, he's always been missing in my collection, and I love him. And I tell you why. It's because he doesn't necessarily scream Cobra. This guy operates perfectly in a kind of a sci-fi setting. He's got that cool Boba Fett helmet. He doesn't have any obvious Cobra symbols on him. Any Cobra symbols that I can see, in fact. He's clad in that dark gray. He's not necessarily in a Cobra blue, though the accents are blue. He's got belt pouches, which is so superhero comic of the 90s. He's definitely a late 80s, early 90s superhero villain, maybe, for the X-Force. And I remember my idiot friend and I used the control arm as a gun. We didn't know how this guy went together. And of course, the instructions that were printed on the card front were, they were lost immediately, torn to shreds. So yeah, we did not know that the control arm was supposed to lock onto that tab.
Something cool about the Laser Viper that I dig is if you remove his lasers, they've got flat sort of pins that go into the backpack. They're not rounded, which I thought was like such a
handheld
clever
weapons?
idea. No, never. I just thought that was so clever because the round pegs can if you think about it, like with thermodynamics, sometimes stuff gets stuck or whatever, and they can break. I just feel like these like semicircle pegs that they used were more efficient. I was actually quite pleased with that. I forgot that it
I'll
had.
take
that
your
feature.
word
I
for it.
actually-
I thought they were around because they swivel 360. But I can take another look. Anyways, thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everyone who has been keeping me in Joe's while I've kind of been hard on myself and not really purchased as many because I'm just adding to the bulk of stuff that I ultimately have to ship back one day. That's not to say you should stop sending stuff. Please, by all means, I'll find a way. But I just have been more Spartan on myself and my own purchases, and it's been cheaper. Anyways, that's me, guys. Rob, Paul, any new shit, or shall we crack open Rob's favorite comment of the week?
All I
I'm
want to
guessing
say
Paul
with
has some
regards to
Hebrew stuff. Hebrew?
no, actually, I don't have any Hebrew stuff.
Ah, come on.
I kind of have Hebrew stuff, but it's not worth mentioning. Actually, I did get something cool, and I have been working on the video edit today and shooting footage today, and I've been very busy on it. So I don't want to like, I know I say this a lot. I'm getting on my editing. I'm trying to get it sorted, but there is something that's kind of special that arrived, and I'm also hoping that it inspires a future episode as well, because I have questions. And that's all I want to say, because I want to keep it a little bit mysterious. Ooh. But let's keep it at that for now. Okay. But
yeah.
I will also say that BBTS, I got a nice message from BBTS the other day to say that some classified Joes are now sitting in my pile of loot. So that's pretty cool. So when I have them in hand, I'll share the excitement with everybody. One of them is for you, actually, Rob. So
Whoa.
surprise! Whoa. Anyway,
Guys, while
Cool,
I'm
that's-
monologuing, you totally need to drive StreamYard and throw up comments because there's some gold that we missed. I'm just gonna select one as a summary of the enjoyment that's been had for the Batman and Robert Pattinson in the comments. Hans Chow, Spin Master, the company that brought us Paw Patrol. Yeah, well, they now do a bang up job of these superhero toys, and they're fun and they're everywhere. So yeah, it's hard to say no. A lot of people have taken the Batmobile and made customs out of it. So I'm looking at, I think Bart Simon, Richard, Rick, Outback Stew. He's also done a bang up job. So yeah, looking good, boys. Keep up the good work and keep enjoying that toy line.
Hell
It's
yeah.
good. GI Joburg approved.
I need
Rob?
one of those Batmobiles. That mongrel is great. Anyway,
So our previous
You
episode
want to wait
was
for them
when
to go on clearance, Paul, or do
let's
you want
just
me
buy
to
him a whole bunch.
buy them now?
I'm hoping. I'm sitting in the hopes that we'll see them here locally. Actually,
Well,
Okay.
in Joburg, more likely than
yeah.
Cape Town. So
No.
Well,
no,
the
don't be
window
like
for
that.
me to put one into my sister's luggage closes on next week's Saturday.
So I must
So
let you know beforehand. Okay.
think we
do.
contact
Okay.
your local.
Well, I feel
contacts
like I
store.
have enough stuff that you're holding for me. I don't really want to burden you with more plastic toys. But
Your turtles are in Cape Town.
Really?
Dun, dun, dun.
Pointless.
Yeah. What is your?
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Shoot me your nearest postnet, and we'll get them to you. Anyways, we derailed, Rob.
Da-da-da-da-da. Turtleberg.
So our previous episode 246 was when toys age well, which is the opposite of this one when toys age poorly. And lots of cool comments, people mentioning the cool toys that they enjoyed, they liked. And someone, Yellow Hell, a figure that he, I think initially, or they didn't like, was Sea Slug. Looked goofy and boring for a few years, but then I used him as a smart and silent assassin. He even had a good arc in my storytelling since. I think he doesn't have any Cobra symbols on him. So that's kind of cool. Someone loves a sea slug.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks cool though. Yeah. Glad that you
pretty
No
found
awesome.
affiliation
the awesome in
markings
him.
make him very pliable and
You can
very kind of
do tons of cool
sci-fi
stuff with
Flash
him.
Gordon-y, I think.
Yeah. It's absolutely good. And I have to mention again, as I almost always do, Outback Stew says, good show, guys. And Rob, you're the king of men. But I must know, who wins, Batman or Captain America? That is that's tough. And
Oh,
I'm
it's a
glad I'm
question of the
bringing
ages.
it up. It definitely is, because recently we
Prep
received
time.
copies. we received copies of basically prep time. Yeah, Batman can prepare for anything; he'll always win. We received copies of a new printing of JLA versus Avengers. I think basically the iconic comic book of essentially the 90s, I think, or the late 90s,
Oh god, yeah, DC versus
when
Marvel.
DC and Marvel did their DC versus Marvel thing, and obviously from there it kind of spun out into
Yeah.
the amalgam universe. But a fantastic graphic novel.
Batverine or whatever, Batclaw or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was Batclaw, yeah, written by
Good
I
times.
think Larry Hama, actually,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Actually, very well illustrated as well. that
Oh,
comic.
fantastic art! They did a lot of good art on all those things. But yeah, JLA versus Avengers, George Perez art, absolutely gorgeous. But I think it's difficult. But I think Batman would probably win if they even had a reason to fight. But for me, at least, yeah, I think Batman always wins. Rip Dorm. Give him 100 years, he can beat anyone in anything. He beats. I mean, yeah. I mean, depending on the version that you're talking about, he's beaten time itself. So he's probably more overpowered than Superman at this point, I think. But what do you guys think? Batman or Captain America? Who wins for you?
Jeez. Well, we got to settle on versions.
Ah,
Let's do Batfleck because he's probably the most OP cinematic Batman
yeah,
versus
I think so.
Yeah.
versus Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. Ah,
Yeah, that's a very accessible point of comparison. And let's say that Chris's cap doesn't have access to all the Avengers gear and stuff, whereas Batman
yeah.
does. Obviously,
He has all the
his whole
Avengers gear.
shtick.
Hell yeah.
I mean, he's got the bat pod, the bat plane, the bat tank, that
All
crawly
that
thing that goes up
versus
walls, the crab, whatever.
Captain America with a shield.
Gosh,
Let me guess. Cap still wins.
dude, no, Batfleck. He's got to have super soldier serum or some performance enhancement to the point of super soldier serum in him, because the way he like could grapple, like just the warehouse fight that everyone cites in Batman
Yeah.
v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Was the Superman? Yeah, it's that way around. Anyway, don't doubt yourself, Steve. You know your shit. You know that you're not shit. Anyway, the warehouse fight that everyone cites, doesn't he grapple dudes and he's able to like bodily swing them over his head?
Yeah,
Hey?
and he body slams them with one hand, I think, as well. He there must be something extra going on.
And
there.
people shoot him and it has no effect, kind of bounces off his cowl. Yeah, and those are pretty high caliber weapons that are being fired at him. Those are like G36s. Are they? I don't know. The one guy has
Yeah,
like an M60. The other guy has a flamethrower. Like, dudes are leveling everything. But Cap fought through the Nazis and Hydra. So guns are a non-starter. Anyway, I've set the scene here. Paul, do you want to lay in with some arguments?
Dude, the only, like, for me, Jim Lee's Batman from Hush, I think would clean Captain America's clock. Definitely.
Good lord.
He's,
But this
he's
situation?
experiment.
Does Ben-
Yeah, no, just in general, I think he's more experienced in a lot of ways. He's a more experienced Batman. He's like been through the dirt. He knows his stuff. He's unhinged as Batman should be, and I just don't feel like Captain America goes that far. He's got like a limiter. He's got like a point in him that he just kind of goes, I can't do this anymore, kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I just feel like Batman would win.
He's too much of a good guy.
But
Yeah,
he,
Batman would
okay.
break
Batman
Captain
has
America.
the line that he will not cross, which psychologically always puts up a barrier for him. Like, it's always got to be in the back of his head that I've got to pull my punches. Whereas Cap,
Not on Captain America,
if there's a reason Cap needs to kill, like if it's open warfare, he will do so. He's not going to like it, but
Yeah,
the
there's
guy
no way he
survived
was pulling his punches
WW2,
in
man.
World War II. Yeah, he had to
I
kill
saw
people
he
in
had a
World War
Tommy
II.
gun.
Yeah.
Or was it a 45? Yeah.
I think the thing is with Batman, unfortunately, is that, you know, Batman has become like, I mean, I love Batman, and I love especially old Batman. I hate what's going on in the comics now, but I will always root for Batman. I love Captain America, but not like I love Batman, and I kind of feel like Batman would win. But that's just because I want him to. You know what I mean? I
Well,
just
I'm
think
gonna
a
hang
clean
the
sweep
vote
from
by
GI
saying
Joburg.
no,
Oh,
no, no,
yeah?
no, no. I'm gonna hang the vote by saying Cap would win because there's a philosophical problem at the core of Batman. It's not just the he won't kill angle, but it's also the fact that like his entire origin just doesn't make sense. Like, sure, it would piss me off that if my parents were killed and it would probably mess me up for life. But like to then be able to train yourself to the peak of physical perfection, learn every martial arts form, and squash it all into the period between, adulthood and then becoming a crime fighter, and then being able to do that before I'm past my prime physically, like my mind can't accept that. Whereas Captain America's timeline works for me. He's a sickly young guy, gets the super soldier serum, becomes this kind of clown, essentially, this promo piece, but then actually goes to war and is battle tested and learns the skills necessary to be a survivor, to be a leader, to be a potent fighter. Like his career adds up, whereas Bruce Wayne's, to me, just it's
But Bruce
pure
Wayne
fantasy.
Yeah, I suppose, but Batman doesn't see himself as a crime fighter, hey? He sees himself as fighting a war. That's the other thing. So Batman is actually a soldier in his mind too, which kind of puts him on similar footing to
On par,
Captain
yeah.
America. And
But
also,
that's the
to be
fun thing
fair,
about this.
I
Could
know,
go round
I
and
mean,
round for days.
I know two
Yeah.
two people that have been training since they were like 5 years old, and they move in ways that I don't think human beings are supposed to move. And if Batman really did train as hard as he did from the age of whatever 7 or 8, and he was trained by so many martial arts masters and the Hand and whatever not the Hand, but like all these different groups, then yeah, I can believe that he's actually pretty damn formidable as a human being. There's a point where I've kind of seen that happen for real. So it's one of those situations where I can actually imagine that. But yes, I understand the motivation of him being angry because his parents have been killed. Yeah, I get that. But also, I have mentioned before, Batman's crazy. And I was talking to Celia about this last night as well. I'm like, Batman's nuts. That's what I love about the Batman movie, is that he's nuts. You get that feeling from him. He's a little unhinged. He's weird. He's like when he's on the crime scene and he's like just very quiet and he's like looking around and doing his thing, and then they show the severed thumb out of the bag and he's like, it was cut off when he was alive.
Yeah, he's
You know,
that
he just-
weird emo
just
kid who
lit
only
up.
pipes
He's so
up.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love him. And that's
No,
how I
it
see
did succeed
Batman.
in presenting like a Batman that is problematic, because the whole premise of Batman is problematic. He has
Yeah.
the means as Bruce Wayne to like basically eliminate poverty in Gotham. Surely, I mean, he could do incredible work as a civilian guys. But no, he thinks that his most effective way of fighting crime in Gotham is to take to the streets and punch people. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he is
Cool.
definitely
But-
a crazy
but-
dude.
But I will say what was actually awesome in Matt Reeves' Batman movie, or in the Batman movie, is that without saying it in so many words, they prove why he would do this. Because his father, although he doesn't know this, when you guys, I hope I'm not spoiling the movie here. If you guys haven't seen The Batman by Matt Reeves yet, I'm very sorry. Maybe just mute this part
End
of the
the episode
podcast
now.
for the next like 2 minutes. But the whole thing that he finds out that even his father was corruptible. And that's the thing. And his father was using philanthropy to try and fix the world. He was using his money to fix the world. So Batman, I think subconsciously, Bruce Wayne just knew that, no, he has to be Batman. He can't fix it the normal way. But yes, you're right. He's crazy.
I'm gonna
Anyway.
punch crime. I'm gonna punch all the
I'm going
crimes.
to punch it in the face.
Dead.
I'm going to put my
Yeah,
light on.
we could
And
go
then the
forever
crime's
and
going to be
ever.
like, I'm going to look at the shadows and be afraid.
For me, Batman wins. For Paul, Batman wins. For Steven, Captain America wins because
Captain America throws his
he
mighty
makes more
shield.
sense for him. And it seems for most of the Joburgers, Batman wins.
Predictable.
Nah.
Yeah, Batman does win everything. That does kind of annoy me as well, but I like Batman.
Guys,
I can't help
if you've listened
Hell
this far, scroll on down to the YouTube comments section and weigh in. Let's make this debate lively. I mean, in GI Joburg, we try and stay true to our call to arms that we are a GI Joe podcast. But yes, we absolutely can
Oh, for
dabble
sure.
in pop culture from time to
Geeks
time.
all over the place. Yeah.
So do it, boys and girls and everybody. Let us know. Let us know that Cap
Yeah.
should actually upset the apple cart and win.
So in this order, tell us which Joe figure has lost its luster in your eyes.
Hell
Then tell us who would win, Batman or Captain America. And that's about it. And also, let me know how much you hate your modern era claw. And also, please, in your comments somewhere, just send Hans Chow a hug.
Hell yeah. He's gonna need therapy after this episode. I think.
His
I
reality
don't know.
has been shattered. We're about to deal with shattered Earth Hans Chow. He's going to become a Decepticon or something.
But as always, we love to thank Hans and all the members of the Berg Force for their contributions month to month. Thank you very much, everybody. We love our patrons. We love all our fans and listeners out there. Friends, yeah, you are all pals of GI Joburg. Thank you. And that's all I have to say about that, gentlemen. We are wrapping up on 247. We'll see you next week.
248 might be something special going on next week. Every week is special, but maybe next week's just a little bit extra
It'll be
special.
special.
Special
Guys, aren't we due for an actual live stream this month, still before April closes out? Yeah.
Quite
This
possibly,
sounds nice.
but we most definitely are going live in the next 30 minutes. Okay, it'll be in the past if you're listening to this on the replay, but GI Joburg presents its next Play Motion installment, The Forge.
The Forge.
So if you haven't checked it out yet and you're listening to this, well, check out our YouTube channel and you'll see some new Play Motion stuff from us. Hooray, it's been too long. But life and small child.
And even big bad GI Joe burgers need downtime.
I'm excited primarily because you gents haven't seen it yet.
I can't wait. I'm super amped. I've seen like a few hot cuts here and there. It's like, Paul, I
Been
need a voice
sitting
for
in the
this.
edit bay for months and months.
The
Just
other
waiting for
eBay.
Paul to record his fucking lines. True
Yeah,
story.
Dude, that was honestly ESCOM. I'm not lying. Like honestly. Like that was the most
Don't worry, I
annoying
was
shit
dragging my
this
heels
week's
on
been cut.
shooting the exteriors myself. Anyways, check out the premiere if you can. Check out the replay if you like. And check us out next week. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Your people are all sexy.